This is Lansdowne Roar, the voice of the fans. David Dunn here, joined by Martin Prendergast and Conor McAvoy. And this is the squad reaction episode. Of course, the international window starts here today, where the Republic of Ireland manager Heimir Hallgrímsson has selected his second squad, which will take on Finland and Greece next week. And it's a crucial Nations League double header. Of course, before we get into the squad and we give our thoughts on that, just a reminder, we will be live in Finland next week, myself and Conor, and we will also be live in Athens as well. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the page, please. Scan that QR code, head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter account. If you haven't already, please do like the video, because it does kind of help. And if you haven't already, head over to lansdowneroar.ie, that is lansdowneroar.ie, for some opinion. Right, lads, this is a bit of a quick fire episode because the squad has literally just been announced within the last hour. So we're going to get through, lads. Are you ready? Here are the goalkeepers. Caoimhín Kelleher comes back in. Of course, he had a little bit of a run there at Liverpool, did excellent. Mark Travers, will he add to his 5 caps for the Republic of Ireland? And Max O'Leary, who is playing at Bristol. Of course, Gavin Bazunu still out injured. In the defence, a few changes here. Festy Ebisela, he is on loan at Watford. His good form has been rewarded. Andrew Omobamidele comes in. He's at Nottingham Forest. Nathan Collins comes back into the squad. No surprises there. We've also got Darragh O'Shea, who's doing reasonably well at Ipswich Town. Liam Scales, bit of a nightmare during the week in the Champions League, but he's back in the squad. Mark McGuinness, a brand new call-up. Congratulations to him. He's at Luton Town. Callum O'Dowda, Martin's mate, no doubt will be a left wing back. He's at Cardiff City. And Robbie Brady as well, probably another left wing back. He is at Preston North End. On to the midfield. And a return for Josh Cullen. Will he add to his 36 caps? No doubt he will. Jason Knight, 32 caps for the Republic of Ireland. He comes in. He's at Bristol. Jason Malumbi in the squad. He's currently at West Brom. Finn Azaz, Conor's mate, he is back in the squad. And Jack Taylor comes in. He is doing okay at Ipswich at the moment. And Jamie McGrath comes back in. He's currently at Aberdeen. And now onto the attackers. And a few changes here. Adam Ida comes in. He's doing reasonably well at Celtic at the moment. Evan Ferguson, not fully match fit yet. Hopefully we'll see a bit more from the big man up front. Troy Parrott tearing it up at the moment for AZ Alkmaar in the Eredivisie. Sammy Smodic, bit of a bad start in the Premier League so far. Casey McAteer was a midfielder in the last squad, comes in as an attacker for this one. And Mikey Johnson makes a welcome return to the squad after an orbital bone injury. And Chidozie Ogbeni is in the squad. He's currently at Ipswich. Lads, the big story there, of course, Conor, I'm going to ask you first. Matt Doherty, not in the squad. Heimir says he's rotating, but let's be honest, he's dropped, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. There's no way you can rotate Matt Doherty after this last couple of years in Irish jersey. He's over the hill. It's hard to say a player's legs are gone, but it's obvious his are gone. He hasn't impressed for years. I know we haven't really had the players coming through in that position, but we've seen Omobamidele played their last camp in the back four, and then Festy, I know he's more of a wing back, but he impressed a lot when I watched him last weekend for Watford, scored and got an assist, or not an assist, got man the match. So I'm happy to see Doherty drop. You hate to say be happy that the player is not playing for the country, but I think we're at the stage now where we have to be ruthless and we have to move to the future, and his time is up.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin, did you like when Heimir said in the press conference today that he rang Matt the day before and he wasn't happy about it? Matt wasn't.
Yeah, understandable. So, but I agree that he shouldn't be in the squad. I think, yeah, like as Conor said there, the legs are gone. And he hasn't performed for Ireland for many years now. I don't think it helps him endear himself to the fans either when, the social media posts and the kind of things like that doesn't go down well with a lot of them. I know it may have been tongue in cheek, but I think that's probably the end of it now, to be honest. I wouldn't rule him out completely of ever coming back into Ireland, but it would be a massive surprise if he does, to be honest. I think that's the end of him and Shane Duffy. We have to move on. The manager's going to die on his sword here. He's going to make these tough decisions. And if you look back to that goal against Greece, he was responsible, I think. And just that work rate, you have to work hard. That's the very minimum we expect as fans. And when he's slacking off like that, the legs are gone, but we can't have that anymore. And I'd rather have someone trying their best than not trying at all.
I know you say the legs are gone, but you have to remember he was fresh. He was fresh in that game. Like he wasn't if he was like 77 minutes deep into a game. He's running his arse off all match, and the manager hasn't really spotted it. Like he was he was only on a few minutes. So yeah, I mean, look, as Conor said, I don't like to see players singled out, but that's unacceptable. And I know Heimer's turned around and said, "Well, look, I'm just rotating. I'm not firing him out of the squad." And he did say, "Look, we're not closing the door on him. We're just rotating, basically." But yeah, you don't expect him to throw him under the bus. But obviously, the backlash that we had here, the backlash in social media amongst Irish fans, the man on the street, so to speak. I think I wasn't surprised to see him. I would have been shocked if he was still in it. But there was, to be fair, there was still that little voice in the back of my head thinking, well, maybe we're coming out, but. No, I think absolutely. Yeah, I mean, goes to show you though. I think you said off air, Conor. The fact that Seamus Combs out of the team and he's still not in.
Bad luck, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Speaking, that's who's out, but looking at who's in, Mark McGuinness gets his first call up. A guy who's kind of on the periphery a little bit. He was at Arsenal, then he went to Cardiff. And he got some game time under Mick until Mick got fired. Mick signed him, actually. And then, of course, Mick got sacked. And he's been kind of going around a little bit. Now, he's at Luton Town. So fair play to him. Heimer had this to say about him. He said that he's an aerial threat. He's dominant. And he's also a threat in set pieces. Do you think that was a little glimpse into the manager, the way he sees this team going forward a little bit?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Mark McGuinness over the years playing with Cardiff or playing with Ireland under 21s and stuff, and it's obvious the type of player he is. He's like your modern day Shane Duffy in a sense. Obviously, he's technically better as a modern footballer is at his age. He is better on the ball and he's a lot more confident on the ball. But in terms of like that aerial dominance and threat from set pieces, he's very good. I seen him. I watched a half of him the other night against Oxford. And he actually looked very good. He's an old-fashioned style centre half, but he's deserved the call up. And I know with Jake O'Brien dropping out, but I know McGuinness is very highly rated in under Irish coaches. When them two came through, like the underage setup in 21s, McGuinness was always looked at as the superior centre half of talent-wise. And obviously O'Brien had to move to Lyon and went to Belgium and developed him further. But McGuinness, I think, is very highly touted, so I'm not too surprised he's been called up.
Yeah, I mean, Jake O'Brien, Martin, he's just not playing, is he?
No, and I can understand that. Like, he didn't go into it too much, but he just said that he is an evident one who's being rotated, and he did say we're blessed at centre halves, which is good to hear. And adaptable centre halves. Like we know Darragh O'Shea can play left back. Omar Bamadeli was okay at right back. I mean, he couldn't cross the ball from the right back position, but which would be a worry for me. But back to Conor's point there, really happy to see McGuinness come in. I remember going down to see, I think it was in lockdown, the under-21s play against Wales, and he was centre back there with Omar Bamadeli as well. And it was just obviously no one was there apart from myself, my good self, of course. But you could really hear and the communication between them, and they work well as a partnership. So I think it's nice to see these players come through the system and be rewarded, because he did get a good move to Cardiff. We were hoping a little bit more from him there, I suppose. But I think we've got to move on with some of these old guard. We're blessed in that position. It's time to experiment a little bit as well, give them the experience, because we will be relying on these guys coming through now. Because like Shane Duffy is too old now. Egan's not going to come back in, I don't think, again. So you do need to kind of give them their opportunities. And I'm happy to see him in the squad.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's picked two left wing backs, hasn't he? With Robbie Brady and, of course, your mate Callum Dowda. So do you think we're going to see a little bit in these games the same that we saw against Greece? 4-4-2. What was it? 4-4-2 in possession, 5 at the back. Well, 3 wing backs out of possession. Do you think we're going to see more of that, Conor?
Yeah, I think we'll stick with the 4. It was more 3 out of. I think it was more 3 in possession, where it would be like Collins, O'Shea, and Omar Bamadeli would kind of sit, and then Brady would push higher up with Ogbene. But I think we'll see a similar enough thing, and I think we'll see Omar Bamadeli, or whether it's Festi playing the right back. Even though I do worry a bit, Festi as a right back by himself. But other than that, I think we'll stick in a similar system. But I'm happy to see Festi it seems like Festi's got the chance now to come in these 2 games. He'll definitely play at least 60 minutes in one of them to impress and show what he can do.
He'd have to start. I mean,
Yeah.
the only other option at right back would be Amabamidele, and he's not
Yeah.
playing. Just on the left side, Martin, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think Robbie Brady or Callum O'Dowd, I think will be obviously prominently the left side. Like one of them will be a fullback. I think it's interesting getting Mikey Johnson back in, because I think one of the things I was crying out for against the Greeks, especially, was that we didn't have that any threat down the left. Everything seemed to be down the right. I would have liked to have seen O'Dowd come on in front of Brady and then try and kind of link up a little bit more with overlapping runs and stuff. You think of McLean playing for Ireland, we did that quite well. He did get down the side and he got it over. We need to get service into Evan Ferguson, for example, and Ida or whoever's there. So I'd like to see Mikey Johnson back in there, because I think back to the game, Gibraltar. How he played quite well that night and went down the left and stuff. He was a threat, and I think that's where we do need to kind of go back to get an old-fashioned kind of winger there with that to kind of give that kind of threat down that side.
Yeah. Do you think, lads, Zoe, would you worry a bit with O'Dowda, as he hasn't been playing left back for Cardiff? It was actually Joel Bagan, if you remember, from the under-21s a couple of years ago, has been back in at left back, and O'Dowd has been left wing. So it's weird, the fact that we have Brady, obviously, who's playing left back with Preston, but then we have O'Dowd who's playing left wing. I think there's a bit of a lack of balance in that position.
Yeah, I think O'Dowd is basically a squad player for Ireland, though, isn't he? He's never been given a lot of game time in the recent squads at all, and they don't seem to even put him on at times. He's just kind of, all right, we'll give him kind of minutes. Like I don't think he's going to be selected as the number one kind of starter for us, but he can come in and do a job for you. So yeah, but we know he can go in there and be a left back. He can go in there and be a left winger, and he can go inside as well and retain the ball and look after it. Because I think back to O'Dowd under Martin O'Neill, where he was in the centre midfield in the hole and stuff, just to get on the ball and like keep possession. He was quite good at that, but that's a long time ago now. It's 5 years ago, so we need to move on.
And speaking of moving on, we'll move on to the midfield. Josh Cullen returns. I mean, he's obviously going to start this, and he's going to be the first name on the team sheet. Conor, you must be delighted. Finn is as back in. You're crying out from. Wouldn't stop whinging about him on the last podcast.
Was I wrong? I've watched Burrow over the last couple of weeks, and he's been back. He's been back to what I would say is near his best playing. But Carrick has seemed to come to his senses and played as a number 10 again, and creating for fun. And even watching him the other night against West Brom, when everyone was watching the Champions League, I was watching our Irish lads in action, and I thought he was excellent and a very good Burrow side, to be fair. Just the crispness of his passes and his ability, just a ball striking ability from whether set pieces or from open plays, is just serious top quality. And I think, I don't know if you've heard Heimer speak about players. He said that Azaz would be a very important player, and I think he's been listening to the rep tracker a bit, seeing that Finn Azaz should be in the Ireland side. And we did. I said in the last camp we lacked a number 10 in the squad. So
I think you should be saying. I think you mean he's been listening to Lansdowne Roar, Conor. Lansdowne Roar. It's a team effort here. He did mention that Alan Brown, Martin, makes way. Just didn't. I think he's had his fitness issues lately, hasn't he, in Sunderland?
Well, cousin Will's injured, and we know that like Callum Robinson's out. I mean, look, surprised that Callum Robinson was even in the last squad, to be honest. Again, not even a mention. Is there any more of? Yeah, but it's not even a mention of Obafemi anymore. And yet scored a goal against Scotland, and we were raving about him. So I think Robinson, another one. Brown out. They're ones who I think we can't be reliant on them going forward. I think the biggest travesty of the last camp was Troy Parrott got no minutes. I love the fact he's gone away now and just scored loads of goals, and it's going to be, he's got to be given minutes. He has to play now because he's gone away, found form with his club. He has to play, so he's got to have to get time in there. You've got to get him into that team.
Yep. What do you think Jack Taylor will bring to the team, Conor?
I think he'll bring that bit of extra quality on the ball, especially in that number 8 position, box to box, which we've lacked. We've had Cullen, who's good on the ball, in number 6 position, but then as that box to box role, we've kind of had Malumbi playing there, Alan Brown, who are technically probably not in the level that Jack Taylor's on, and Jack Taylor has that bit of aggression and to him. So I think if we partnered him up with Cullen, he'd add a lot, especially even if we had him coming off the bench for 30 minutes. We seen last week against Aston Villa, he was very impressive coming on as a impact player off the bench. So even if he was that role, I would be happy. But I'm very happy to see him called up, to be honest, because it badly needed a player to come in that position, especially when he is still very young. I don't know I think he's 25 maybe. So I'm happy to see him come in, and it's very well earned to call up.
Yep. With the forwards, of course, Martin, you touched on that Troy Parrott didn't get any minutes, and then I think the next game he went out and scored 4 goals. Speaking of scoring 4 goals, Tom Cannon scored 4 goals last night for Stoke City. Andy Moore with a goal and an assist, I think, for one of Tom Cannon's. And Marco Manny, somebody pointed out to me, scored as well for Portsmouth in a 6-1 drubbing at the Britannia or Best 365 Stadium, or whatever it's called. What's it called now?
Yeah, it is a Bet 365 now these days.
Best 365. Yeah, but he's not in the squad, Martin. And he did basically. We were looking at it, weren't we, beforehand? In the group chat, lads, where like maybe he's in the under 21s, or maybe it was just the squad was already selected and he's gone out and boom. But he's on standby with Don Martin, isn't he? He did say that he's next in line to be called up for the forwards.
Yeah, I think the squad was pretty much picked, wasn't it? And he alluded to that in the press conference. I think, some of these lads are on standby. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few movements within the squad. I see the under 21 squad's now been announced as well. So, you do get movement, you get injuries, things like that. Some of these players will be under pressure to kind of not take the call up, I suppose. So, it could be one that he's added in, brought into it. I hope he does answer the call because, look, an Ireland player scoring 4 goals doesn't happen very often. An incredible talented player. So we do need to get him in there and get him involved. I think it's a key thing.
Conor, I heard some reports. James, who writes for who does write for us over on the website, lansdowne.ie, James Agnew, read his stuff. It's excellent. He mentioned, and it is something that I did see in passing on various social media outlets, including Lansdowne Road. A little pat in the back there. That apparently Tom Cannon, there's a whisper going around saying that he's looking to concentrate in his club career and he wants to give international football a break. Any truth to that? Did you guys hear any of that?
I haven't heard anything about that, and I don't believe it, to be honest, because he did do that in the past and then he came back in, so he's not going to drop back out again. And especially Heimer's an honest fella. He would have said in the presser today that if Cannon wanted to take international football a break at the moment. So I don't know whether it's been lost in not translation, but lost in reading when people were seeing what Tyler Goodrum, that's what he's doing at the moment, putting his club career first at the time being. But I don't think that's the case with Tom Cannon at all. I'd expect that if he was called up, he would have came straight into this squad because he's on a high, and if he scored a goal for Ireland, and he even when he came on against Portugal that game to make his debut, I know you can't really impress when you're in that Irish team that day, but he showed glimpses of what he can do.
Yeah, and also Heimer did. I'm just asking the question because people are going to be like, what's going on? But obviously he did say, Heimer, didn't he? No, he's on the call-up list. Yeah. So, you know.
He hasn't played a lot. Like, he's like, look, we can talk about his 4 goals and stuff, but I mean, that's recently, isn't it? He's not been tearing it up consistently.
That's what you want, though. You want.
No, I know that, but you want the form player. But like, I think, he's obviously posing a question for the manager without doubt. And I was told by a very good source a couple of weeks ago that Tom Cannon is going to be the one with Evan Ferguson as our forwards. Basically, going forward, we need to have those type of players getting game time in the squads, get them in now and get them going.
And Heimer did say as well, didn't he, about Tom Cannon? Because he did great, but he was knackered afterwards because he's not match fit. A lot of these lads are coming back. I mean, I suppose that's the squad. There's no real. I mean, obviously you touched Michael Obafemi. He's not getting a look in. He's sort of struggling along at Plymouth. Overall, go on.
I mean, no. To be fair, Callum Robertson has scored a few goals, but I just think it's probably gone against him now. Just that one probably is a rotation one in a sense. He came in. I was surprised he was in the last one, but Mikey Johnston's available now. He's an outlet on the left, and prefer Chidozie on the right. I want to see our forwards. I think it's difficult. Like, there's no point bringing strikers, I don't think, if you're not going to give them time. And Troy Parrott now, because he's in such good form, you can't bring him and not play him. Like,
I mean,
it's a different kind of perspective. Him coming into the squad now, Troy Parrott, you can't not give him minutes. Whereas before, he gave the minutes to Callum Robinson, but now you can't do that. So you can't. So that's why he's probably left out Callum Robinson, basically.
I think we're, overall, I think it's a decent squad. I think it's okay. Obviously, we're still crying out for a left back. We know that whole Dennis Kirkus situation we touched on a previous episode, because obviously he's got Latvian citizenship and he's living in England, and that's a whole thing, and we don't know if the FAI are pursuing that or not. We're still crying out for a proper left back. No sign of Ryan Manning, but he's just not playing, so he can't be, you can't justify any selection for him. I think it's a decent squad. I think up front, Johnson and Ogbeni, maybe in a 4-3-3, either side of the forward. I think that's what he's going to do, because obviously they're now in his forwards, aren't they? They were midfielders in the last squad, those two, when they were last in, I think. And I could be wrong. No, sorry, McAteer was in as a midfielder in the last squad. So obviously he's looking at, maybe two runners and a big man up top, and he's got Parrott, he's got Ida, who's doing okay at Celtic at the moment, and he's got who's the other one? Ferguson, yeah, sorry, Ferguson, obviously, but he's not match fit. So yeah, I think it's okay. Midfield, obviously, we're a little bit light midfield, but hopefully Finazaz now, this is time for him to shine, lads. I'm a little bit optimistic about this.
I'm
actually
optimistic as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit. It looks like he's paying attention, the manager.
Yeah, he's made some big calls, and which is great. The problem area still is left back, like, without a doubt. Like, and I know Liam Scales can kind of go in there as well. But he's had a tough start to the season. Okay, they're doing well domestically, but that 7-1 drubbing the other night won't help his confidence. Although he played okay. But it just shows you the levels, and but again, having that experience of coming up against top quality opposition will help his development. So that's the kind of positive of that, if you can spin it that way. The left back is a big problem position for us, as we know. So
yeah,
but otherwise, I'm quite happy with it. Yeah, I am. I like the fact that what we can see in matches and what we saw against England, and more so against Greece. I like the fact that he's made those changes, made those big calls. I like the fact that he's kind of listened, and he's obviously taken on board a lot of criticism, because that was one of the questions at press conference, that have you been at any games and have you this, and
I want to get to that.
He's actually fronted that up a little bit, so it's a lot better.
I wasn't convinced by his answer. Just actually why you brought that up. He was asked, "Have you been going to games?" And he went, "I'm not going to put a number on it."
Yeah.
And then he said, "Well, lots of games." And he's explaining, "Well, I can't go to all the games because they're playing one part of the country." And then he goes, "Well, but I'm sitting at home like Conor with about 15 million computer screens, and he's watching all the players come through." So I don't know. I think he's been a little bit.
Well,
he's fronting a little bit, but
Do you? I think what he may be doing, because he spoke about going to watch Finazaz. So what makes me think is he's, say, example, I don't know, say he wants to watch a player that's already like Malumbi. He's nailed on to be in the squad, or Josh Cullen. I think maybe he's decided, even though Malumbi played against Finazaz there, and I thought maybe them lads, I can watch them at home because I know what they have and they're certs to be in the squad. Maybe he's going to watch the likes of Finazaz play, or the likes of Festi play, who are borderline players who are trying to break back into a squad, or whether it was going to watch GR play for Aberdeen. So I think maybe he's saving his travel, or the FAI's travel expenses, for the games that it's players on the borderline, or more than the players. I know you want him to go as many games as possible, but I think he's saving that for the lads that are borderline squad players, or breaking into the squad.
I understand. I'm just a bit old-fashioned with that sort of thing. I don't think you can get a real feel for a player until you watch them. Because, when we're sitting, please God, we're sitting up in the, we're watching the game, Conor, in Helsinki, and when we have that lovely view up in the media box, Conor, you and I, sorry, Martin, this is Lanyard chat. And basically, you can see so much. You know, you can see if the guy's making a run off the ball. You can see what his body language is like. Is the head down? Does the head drop? Is it up? Is he talking? Is he a leader? Is he organizing? If he's a defender or even a midfielder, you know what? You don't get that. And you know, stats are great, but I think they're over reliant in the modern game a bit. And you know, like you could literally pass it 2 centimeters, and that's a pass complete. You know, like you want to watch the entire game. You want to watch this guy. But yeah, I understand that might not be necessary for certain players, as you say, like Jason Lumby. You know what he's about. The sublime to the ridiculous at times, like those 2 40-yard passes. So overall, chaps, we're thumbs up for the squad or thumbs down? Martin, thumbs up, thumbs down?
Thumbs up from me. Fair play, brave calls made, and I think the fact, you know, he's kind of listened a little bit. So let's see next few press conferences when the team get together and arrive into the camp. What the kind of vibe is from that will be important as well.
Yeah, and yourself, kind of thumbs up, thumbs down.
Buzzing. I'm actually delighted with it, and has me absolutely buzzing for Finland next week. Can't wait to get away for it now. But yeah, I'm delighted. I'm delighted he's made 6 changes. Is a lot of changes to make to one squad, especially when 2 of them are like completely fresh. I know Jack Taylor's been called up before, but I don't think he made a match day squad. So I'm delighted with the squad that he's put his stamp on it.
There you go. Well, we're happy with the squad. Are you? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, it is international window. So we have a load of programming coming up for you, a load of coverage coming up for you. This is Lansdowne Roar. This is the home of the international window. That's where you can have your say. We will be live from both games. We'll do the pre-game. We'll do the post-match aftermath in the freezing cold at about nearly midnight local time. But that's what we do. So do join us for that. If you haven't already, please like the video. It really does help. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to grow that. Just scan that QR code. Head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter account. If you haven't already, do head over to lansdownemore.ie and give Conor a follow over on Red Tracker on Twitter. If you want to find out what's going on with the latest with the players, the current players, or the players coming through, that is the place to go. Anyway, we're out of here. I'm David Dunn. He's Martin Prendergast. That's Conor McAvoy. This is Lansdowne Roar. Good night.